It begins as a quiet whisper of a problem. The stubborn jar lid that refuses to budge. The full bag of groceries that suddenly feels heavier than it did last year. That deep ache in the thighs after climbing a single flight of stairs. This feeling, a slow, creeping erosion of physical power, is a deeply personal betrayal by a body that was once so capable. For many, this morning's stiffness and fading strength is accepted as an inevitable toll of aging. But what if it is not? What if the solution isn't found in endless, exhausting workouts or simply forcing down more protein, but in flipping a forgotten biological switch that has been turned off inside the very muscle cells themselves? This is the story of a hidden mechanism, an anabolic switch, and how understanding its function can change everything. The process of losing muscle as one ages is a well-documented phenomenon, often referred to by scientists as sarcopenia. It is a gradual vanishing of strength that can begin as early as one's 40s and accelerates dramatically after the age of 60. Conventional wisdom has offered a simple, two-pronged approach for decades: lift weights and eat more protein. On the surface, this advice is sound. Resistance exercise signals the muscles that they need to be stronger, and protein provides the raw building blocks, the bricks and mortar, to repair and build new tissue. Yet countless individuals in their 50s, 60s, and 70s follow this advice diligently, only to see minimal, frustrating results. They drink the protein shakes, they lift the weights, but the weakness persists. This is the great deception of age-related muscle loss. It is not always a problem of insufficient materials. It is a problem of communication. Imagine a construction site. The goal is to build a strong brick wall. A convoy of trucks arrives, delivering thousands of perfect, high-quality bricks. The bricks represent the protein one eats. The trucks dump their loads, and the piles of bricks grow higher and higher. Yet, the wall remains unbuilt. Why? Because the foreman, the one in charge of telling the workers what to do, is asleep in his office. This is precisely what happens inside the body. The foreman is a crucial signaling pathway within the muscle cells. Scientists call it mTOR, but it can be thought of as the master anabolic switch. When this switch is activated, it sends out a powerful command: build! It tells the cells to take up the amino acids from the protein that has been consumed and use them to synthesize new muscle tissue, to grow stronger. For a person in their 20s or 30s, this switch is incredibly sensitive. Almost any protein-rich meal or bout of exercise is enough to flip it on, triggering a robust muscle-building response. But as the years pass, a strange and subtle resistance begins to build. This changes everything. After the age of 55, the anabolic switch becomes less responsive. It becomes harder of hearing. The same meal that would have triggered a strong muscle-building signal a decade earlier now barely elicits a whisper. This phenomenon is known as anabolic resistance. The body's ability to convert dietary protein into new muscle tissue becomes blunted. One can send all the bricks in the world to the construction site, but if the foreman remains asleep, no building will occur. This is why many older adults find themselves in a frustrating paradox. They are eating what they believe is enough protein, yet they continue to grow weaker. They are experiencing the strength betrayal at a cellular level. But what if the foreman isn't just asleep? What if the very language used to wake him up has changed, and no one has been given the new code? Research over the past decade has revealed a fascinating truth about this anabolic switch. While it becomes resistant to a general protein signal, it retains a unique and powerful sensitivity to one specific component of that protein. Protein is not a single substance. It is composed of 20 different building blocks called amino acids. Think of them as 20 different types of bricks. While all are useful, one of them acts less like a brick and more like a key, a master key that can unlock the foreman's door and sound the alarm to build, even when other signals are being ignored. This specific amino acid is called leucine. It is what scientists refer to as a branched-chain amino acid, or BCAA, but its role goes far beyond that of a simple building block. Leucine is a primary signaling molecule. It is the loudest voice in the amino acid chorus. When sufficient quantities of leucine enter the bloodstream after a meal, it acts as a direct and potent activator of the mTOR pathway, the anabolic switch. It doesn't just ask the body to build muscle, it commands it. This is not theoretical. A groundbreaking study published in the peer-reviewed Journal of Nutrition explored this very concept. Researchers took two groups of older adults. Both groups consumed the same modest amount of protein, an amount typically insufficient to stimulate muscle growth in their age group. However, one group received the protein drink as it was, while the second group's drink was fortified with an extra dose of pure leucine. The results were staggering. The group that consumed the leucine-enriched beverage experienced a muscle protein synthesis response that was over 30% greater than the other group. They built significantly more muscle from the exact same amount of total protein. The leucine acted as the spark plug. It was the missing key that turned the engine over, allowing all the other amino acids to finally be put to work. This discovery is a paradigm shift in understanding how to combat age-related muscle loss. It suggests the focus should not just be on total protein quantity, but on the quality and, specifically, the leucine content of that protein. This is the secret code. So if the main signal from protein is being ignored, what is the one master key that can bypass the resistance and force the switch back on? The answer is surprisingly simple, and it's been hiding in plain sight. It is this powerful amino acid, leucine, that holds the potential to reawaken the body's innate ability to build and maintain its strength, vitality, and independence. It functions as a threshold trigger. The anabolic switch will not flip to ON until a certain concentration of leucine is detected in the blood. This is known as the leucine threshold. For a younger person, this threshold is relatively low and easily reached with most meals. But due to anabolic resistance, the threshold for an individual over 60 is significantly higher. Scientists estimate that for an older adult to reliably trigger a robust muscle-building response, a meal must contain approximately 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine. Reaching this target is the non-negotiable first step to overcoming anabolic resistance and telling the body to build, not decay. This is where the betrayal deepens. Because a review of typical dietary patterns reveals a startling truth. The majority of older adults are failing to meet this leucine threshold in most of their meals. Sometimes, in any of their meals. A common breakfast of 2 slices of toast with jam and a cup of coffee contains less than 1 gram of leucine. A lunchtime bowl of tomato soup with crackers might deliver even less. Even a seemingly healthy dinner of a small 3-ounce chicken breast with vegetables might fall just short of the mark, providing only around 2.2 grams. Each of these meals, while providing calories and some nutrients, fails to deliver the critical signal. The bricks are delivered, but the foreman remains undisturbed. The anabolic switch stays off. Day after day, meal after meal, the opportunity to build and repair muscle is lost, and the slow decline of strength continues unchecked. But here lies the critical, and often missed, piece of the puzzle. It is not just about having leucine. It is about reaching that specific leucine threshold with each meal. And most people over 60 are failing to hit this mark every single day. Understanding this threshold is one thing, but consistently hitting it meal after meal, day after day, presents a major challenge. The solution isn't to simply eat mountains of food. It lies in a strategic combination, a forgotten synergy between this key amino acid and another surprising nutrient that acts as its amplifier, ensuring the anabolic switch is not only flipped, but held firmly in the ON position for hours. What if the command to build muscle was being actively sabotaged by another process happening at the very same time? What if turning the ON switch was only half the battle, because the self-destruct button was still armed and active? This amplifier, this forgotten partner to leucine, is perhaps one of the most misunderstood and wrongly vilified hormones in the entire human body. We've been taught to fear it, to suppress it, to avoid it at all costs. But in this specific battle for our strength and longevity, it is not the enemy. It is our most powerful ally. Yes, insulin, the hormone we associate with sugar, with diabetes, with storing fat. For decades, the wellness industry has waged a war against it. Spike your insulin, and you'll get fat, they said. Keep insulin low, and you'll stay lean and healthy, they promised. But this oversimplified, black and white narrative has created a devastating, unintended consequence for the aging population. It has robbed them of the single most powerful tool for protecting their muscle mass. Because here is the secret that has been lost in the noise. Insulin has 2 distinct and critical jobs when it comes to muscle. Its first job is anabolic. It helps build. When you consume carbohydrates or protein, your pancreas releases insulin. This insulin then acts like an escort, a VIP driver for nutrients. It unlocks the doors to your muscle cells, not just for glucose to provide energy, but also for the very amino acids, including leucine, that you consumed. It shoves the building blocks inside the factory, amplifying the signal that leucine started. But this is not even its most important function. The real magic, the part that has been completely ignored, is its second job. Insulin is profoundly anti-catabolic. Catabolism, is the scientific term for breakdown. You see, your body isn't just building or just resting. It's in a constant state of flux, simultaneously building up new tissue and breaking down old tissue. Muscle is no different. Throughout the day, your body is actively dismantling muscle protein. Leucine arriving at the muscle cell is like the foreman shouting, "Start building!" But if the demolition crew is still tearing down the other side of the wall, you're not making much progress. You might even be losing ground. Insulin is the only signal that tells the demolition crew to stop. It is the most powerful inhibitor of muscle protein breakdown in the human body. It halts the destruction. So let's put the two pieces together. Leucine flips the anabolic, ON, switch, initiating muscle protein synthesis. But it's the corresponding release of insulin that simultaneously flips the catabolic, OFF, switch, halting muscle protein breakdown. This creates what scientists call a BALAC, net positive protein balance. You're finally building more than you're breaking down. This is the synergistic secret. Leucine opens the door to growth, and insulin slams the door on decay. Without both, the effect is muted, temporary, and ultimately ineffective against the tide of age-related muscle loss. A landmark study from McMaster University illustrates this perfectly. Researchers gave participants an amino acid drink that was rich in leucine. As expected, it triggered a spike in muscle protein synthesis. The build signal was sent. But because there were no carbohydrates to stimulate insulin, the rate of muscle breakdown remained elevated. The demolition crew kept working. In the end, the net gain in muscle was minimal. However, when they added carbohydrates to the drink, stimulating a healthy insulin response, everything changed. Not only did muscle synthesis go up, but muscle breakdown plummeted. The net result? A dramatic increase in muscle accrual. They proved that the combination leucine plus insulin is not just additive, it's multiplicative. It's not 1 + 1 = 2. It's 1 + 1 = 10. This reveals the profound, dangerous flaw in the modern dietary advice given to so many older adults. They're told to fear carbs. They meticulously cut out bread, potatoes, rice, and even fruit, all in the name of controlling their blood sugar and weight. They focus on getting their protein, which is good. They might have a piece of fish or chicken, thinking they're doing the right thing. They get some leucine, which flips the P, build, switch, but with no accompanying carbohydrates to stimulate insulin, the MINA, breakdown, switch remains on. The demolition crew never gets the message to stop. Their meal, which they thought was so healthy, is actually failing to protect them. They are taking one step forward and one, or even two, steps back. Day after day, this silent, invisible tug of war is being lost, and their muscles slowly vanish, all while they believe they are making healthy choices. It's a betrayal orchestrated by incomplete information. But what if there was a way to get this perfect, synergistic signal to hit the leucine threshold and stimulate a clean, effective insulin response with every meal, without resorting to sugary junk food? The solution is simpler and more elegant than you might imagine, and it involves rethinking the very structure of our plates. But before we rebuild our meals, we have to confront a much darker, more insidious problem. A hidden enemy that operates from within. What if I told you that even if you craft that perfect meal, the ideal dose of leucine, the precise amount of carbohydrates, still might not work? What if your own muscles have started to go deaf? This isn't a metaphor. It's a real, physiological state scientists call anabolic resistance. As we age, our muscles don't just get smaller, they get more stubborn. They demand a louder and louder signal just to get the same response. The 25 grams of protein that worked wonders in your 30s might barely register in your 60s. It's a cruel trick of biology. The very moment you need the growth signal most is the exact moment your body starts turning down the volume. This changes everything. It means the game isn't just about what you eat, but how you overcome this internal, biological deafness. So how do we make our muscles listen again? The answer, remarkably, lies not just in what you put on your plate, but in what you ask of your body. We don't just need to send a louder signal. We need to give our muscles a reason to listen. The single most powerful tool we have to resensitize our muscles is movement. Specifically, resistance training. Think of it like this. An inactive muscle is a complacent muscle. It has no urgent reason to grow, but when you challenge it, when you lift a weight, do a bodyweight squat, or even carry heavy groceries, you send an undeniable message of need. You are telling your muscle, I need you to be stronger to meet this demand. Exercise is the wake-up call. This single act fundamentally changes the cell's physiology. It triggers a cascade of internal signals that essentially install amplifiers on the muscle cell's surface. It tells the receptors to become hyper-responsive to the nutrients floating in your bloodstream. Suddenly, that 25 grams of protein isn't being ignored anymore. It's welcomed with open arms. This is the final piece of the puzzle. It's a three-part strategy for reclaiming your strength. First, you must consume enough high-leucine protein to meet the threshold and send the build signal. Second, you must pair it with intelligent carbohydrates to send the stop breaking down signal via insulin. And third, you must engage in regular resistance exercise to ensure your muscles are actually listening to those signals. It's not one or the other. It's all three, working in perfect concert. This is how you defeat anabolic resistance. This is how you turn the tide against age-related muscle loss. You don't have to accept weakness as an inevitable part of aging. It is not your destiny. Your body is designed to adapt, to respond, and to rebuild. At any age, you just have to give it the right instructions. The blueprint for a stronger, more resilient future is now in your hands. The science is clear. The choice is yours. Understanding these principles is the first step, but applying them is what will change your life. This is the kind of empowering, science-backed knowledge we deliver every week. To stop guessing and start building a healthier, stronger you, make sure you subscribe to Better_Health and click the notification bell so you never miss a vital update. Your future self will thank you.